Greetings, everybody. This is Elisa with the Rebel Crone, and it is Thursday, so it's that special day I look forward to. I was going to say every week, but we've kind of extended it out now. We're doing it like every other week. There's been a lot going on this year, as I'm sure most of you are experiencing. So, in my world, there's just been a lot to balance, a lot of things changing, and I just have had some focuses elsewhere. But the good news is that Maurice and I are back and we have a wonderful, well, I have some wonderful starting points to get the conversation going. And as always, we will see where those lead us. So welcome, Maurice. Great to be with you again.
Yep, good to be here as well.
Yay. Okay, well, we were just chatting a little bit as we always do
Yep.
before we get started. And oh my gosh, so many great topics came up, and we kind of go off on things. And I'm always like, wait, we have to wait for the recording. But what those topics were, I didn't write them down. So, but I do have one I want to start with. Now,
Okay.
this is on AI. So I want to talk about AI. I have this morning over my matcha, I did some contemplation on AI based on a video that Maurice had sent me. And I don't remember the woman's name, but she had some very interesting revelations and thoughts about what this whole AI thing is. So that's what I want to start on today, Maurice. And we'll see. We may spend like 2 minutes on it, and we may spend a half hour on it. You never know. Sometimes I
Mhm.
think what the topic is ends up not being the topic at all. But so with AI, I know we're just like, it's so amazing right now how fast this is all moving and the capabilities with it. It is just pretty astounding. I mean, I just every day I kind of look at social media and different media posts, and there's just another whole aperture opening up and abilities with it. It's a little, I guess maybe for some it's really exciting. For me, it has been a little disconcerting. But I feel like today I kind of wrap my head around it in a different way where I I can't say that I feel better about it because if there needs to be a feeling about it, but I just want to see if we can just kind of dive in a little bit, Maurice, in understanding what might be actually going on with it. And once again, this is conjecture. This is not going to be something based on personal experience with me and AI because I stay away from it. Right now, the whole AI field is really a lot of conjecture from those of us that are oriented in understanding like the truth behind things, whether it's for me, spirituality, like what's really going on in the whole context, because it is all spiritual, right? We're living in, if you want to call it simulacrum, we're living in the land of Maya, the dream, a projected reality. So how does AI fit in with that? So that's what I was meditating on this morning. Maurice, do you want me to just go ahead and just jump in with some of my
Yes,
insight?
I would prefer that so I know which way to go.
I know he goes so many different ways. Okay, so here, basic premise. If and this is what the woman, this is the starting points that video I watched that this woman was saying about AI being part of the plasma field. All right, and so the plasma field is she described it as the intelligent field, plasma being an intelligent field with, I can't remember, she said like it's not a conscious field the way that we're conscious with free will and autonomy like that, but it is a field of information. And so plasma is this field of information from which we work with. So I was thinking about that as being like the field, like Jason from our caves will talk about the field, and a lot of other thinkers across time have talked about there is pneumoplasma, or there's just this field of intelligence that we draw from. Now, personally, that's where I draw from for my inspiration in writing, creativity, anything creative, designing, anything is just tapping into a field and allowing ideas and things to come through. So with it being the field, and I kind of like this. What I'm seeing is that AI is actually just a our consciousness opening up to the potentials that are inherent in the plasma field and in the bigger field, that it's not something new, it's not something different, it's just we've moved up as humanity, that we're able to tap into this field and be able to work more consciously with it.
Right.
In other words, that's kind of like the playing field. Like we've got the immortal, we've got the higher being, got the lower being. Then there's a field in between that's the quantum field per se. So there's nothing like AI is not a thing, a separate thing. It's really the programmable field. And I think that this is where I want to take off on, Maurice, because people are like, oh, AI is like a thing in and of itself, where my warning and maybe the excitement we could have about consciously working with the bigger field, AI, plasma, whatever you want to call it, is that we have to be aware of the same things we have to be aware of working in our mind field. This is like the bigger mind, and here's our mind. And as we know, those of us that are aware, we know that the war being played out on Earth right now is the battle for people's minds. All right. And there's certain principles that hold true in that battle that we have to be, to fight it is to become conscious of the game, right? And to be aware of how that works and not to accept anything coming in. We don't just accept it because, we watch TV and TV says that, therefore it is. We watch entertainment and that, and we're just blindly getting programmed from those that understand how the mind works. Well, extrapolate that. Now we're working in a bigger mind field, and it's got all the same potentialities that you can work with it to your own edification, or you can be unconscious to how it works and be programmed in I say, more wily field. Is something that has, I see what I write, has even more potentials to go either way with us and to have people be controlled. So in other words, I'm saying like this whole AI is kind of like the new media. Media can be used in many different ways, and unfortunately, there's going to be people that are using the new media of AI, of the plasma field, to program people. And we see that on Facebook. You see, like I love the Tartaria stuff, and we know all the pictures that are available. We know the places on Earth where anomalies or things aren't adding up, architecture and blah, blah, blah. We know those photos. We know those places where suddenly there's all this influx, like on Facebook. That's the main one I work with, of all these new photos. And you're like, oh my God, look at that giant people and these incredible old buried things, their architecture. And you're like, oh, that's so crazy. What's all AI? But there's people that are like, oh, and they just go right into it. So just even that little thing, and that's kind of an easy one, but there's so much other stuff so I'm saying that's a neutral field. It's a bigger neutral mind field for both sides to play on. So I wrote down some cautious stuff about when you're working with AI. One is be conscious. Be conscious of what you're asking of AI and what you're being told from AI. Use with intention. Just like anything else, we have to have specific intention of why we're doing stuff and understand that. Like, be conscious of yourself, and don't be spoon-fed information. Just because, AI says that, AI is pulling in all those information. It's not, none of it's the gospel. It's simply like our minds. It's a bigger mind field. And then using discernment of what you see and hear is just a huge thing. Just discern it like we do with the stuff we see with our own eyes and hear with these ears in this other mind field. So anyways, that's kind of, in a nutshell, some of the thoughts I had about it this morning.
Oh, okay.
So where to go from there? Is what I guess bottom line is that it's just another pool of information and consciousness for us to draw from. But we have to be even more careful than the stuff we draw from the physical world, as far as what we're being fed and information available to us. The same thing with this AI thing. That's not a separate thing. That maybe AI is just a increased understanding of the energy field. And it's not like a separate thing outside of that, but it is just another, we're tapping into that bigger field. And we're using technology to tap into it.
The AI that we deal with, at least nowadays, like for instance, Grok on Twitter, for one, that a lot of people have easy access to for information. You know, you ask it a question and it gives you an answer. Well, that form of AI is a mechanical tool. It literally is a mechanical tool. It was programmed by programmers, and yes, it's how they do all of that stuff, I don't know either, but I know it works that way, just like the computer we're dealing with right now. 30 years ago, nobody except maybe the scientists knew anything about the possibility of even this existing. This is to a way, this is a tool of artificial intelligence as well. Actually, but it's if you want to stack it up in a hierarchy form, it's a kind of a very primitive form of it. And now we've moved on to this question and answer aspect of it, and that's still, it's a tool, it's neutral. It's a tool, just like a hammer or a saw. And depending on the user, gets its meaning for the user. So, and you used a word in there. Yes, you use your own internal discrimination. And when you said that, I wanted to say right away, people don't generally recognize the reality of it. Probably better than half the people watching you and me do. And I know that ahead of time. I'm preaching to the choir a lot of the time. But anyway, ultimately, everything is you're the final arbiter of how you see the world. Recognizing that as the real reality, you take responsibility for it and you don't give it up. Prior to realizing that, you're in this thing of being bandied about by whoever the loudest voice is or the most convincing, person or thing around you. And you're lost in the field. You really don't have discrimination in a sense that I'm talking and you're talking. So you have to get to that life. You have to become a crone, or damn near a crone. You got to be on the way towards it for sure. And in the male world, whatever the right word is for that, we have our version of the same thing. Ultimately, you are the final arbiter of how you experience this world. And the more you recognize that reality, the more you take control of it. And you say, I am responsible and I will decide for myself, and I won't let this talking head, whoever or whatever it is, dictate to me. I'll reserve final judgment.
Yep. And you know what it is? It's also like creativity. So like, it's just interesting. So let's say that we have the intelligent field, the neutral intelligent field, not conscious, but there's intelligence there. And we've got the individual. And ideally, this is all the soft technology you need. Right here is the technology, because we are given the capacity and tools to connect into that field ourselves. And to pull in, we can think like amazing new thoughts, invent things, create things. And any artist or creative person out there, this is cooking creative with numbers or science, that when you tap into the bigger field, boy, you get an idea, it's like that's really not my mind doing it. It just like came to me. Now I feel like with AI is almost like people have programmed through hard technology, which is software and hard stuff, not the soft technology. Through hard technology, they've figured out how to tap into that field. And so other people that maybe don't want to, and they don't understand making that connection, it takes you out of making your own connection. And now you're relying on something artificial, hard tech, once again, to bridge
an overlay. In a way, it's an overlay. It's usurping your own independent authority to make your own decisions, and you're giving it to it. That's where that's part of the learning process, though. And you have to a lot of well in today's world, people seem to have to go through that. They take it as the be all and know all for quite a while, and then at some point they mature enough, if you will, to say, wait a minute, this is a tool. It's it's just like the talking heads on television did for like 50 years, from the 50s
Mm-hmm.
to the early 2000s. They were the voice of authority to the American people and probably the European people and any Western developed country that had televisions. They
I'm
were.
not going to do my own research. I'm not going to think for myself. I'm going to be spoon fed.
That's right. And as long as people use AI for that, then they're still lost in the matrix, so to speak.
They're giving their power away. Because think
Correct.
about, okay, so you can now AI, you can get an idea for a book, you press a button, and AI will write your book. All right. I just got done writing my book, but the second in a series. It's a metaphysical adventure, the story of E, and it's 317 whopping pages. And I worked my butt
Yes,
off.
you did.
And I learned so much by doing it. I crafted a skill, but through crafting that skill is like my consciousness expanded. I mean, I worked to do that, and I'm so proud of what I accomplished. But I did that. I didn't press a button. I would not change that for anything. I'm not going to have, AI write this or do this and that for me. It's like I will write it myself. Thank you. I will figure it out. Thank you. Because I learned something. That's a creative process. And I learned something through it. I learned so much by writing my books. Like revelations are coming into me in real time as I'm writing it. Like, oh my God, I've never thought of that. Like when we talk, Maurice, as I'm writing something up and it's like, oh my God, I never looked that way because something comes through, so
It's a quality of life. Actually, in simple terms, it's a quality of life issue. How do you want to experience your life? You can do it at a very shallow level and make your way through for 80, 90 years in today's world, if you're lucky. But yeah, and there's lots and lots of people that make that choice, and we had that choice too. We could have done it that way, but we
well,
chose otherwise. Why? It's
yeah.
because the quality of life. It's like the difference between eating a freaking hot dog and a prime rib roast. They both feed you. In the end, you're full, you're nourished, and all of that stuff. But the quality of life, it's how do you want to experience your life as you live it? And you
And
have that choice. That's what I'm trying to say. And you're telling it how you just in this example of your book writing, and you've been doing it all your life, one way or another, and so have the rest of us. We've made choices. We could do it the easy way, which is the way everybody else seems to want to do it, or we say no, I'm going to try it this way, and every freaking time you try it that way, you either say, man, that was a good choice, or no, that wasn't a good choice. But I learned something about it, so you grew. And
you grow learning your choices. And the same is true with the creative process, which I
correct.
see AI is scooting in, and like you don't have to think about it, just press the button and it'll tell you what to think about it. But once again, it's going unconscious and allowing something else to tell you. It's like
Mhm.
present me with all the different things, and then I'm going to make up my own mind. I'm going to use my own intuition, which is a huge part of it. My intuition, my inspiration, my creativity, because that's who I am as a person. No, thank you. I don't need something else doing it for me, because then I short circuit my ability to learn and grow and experience and be self-determinative, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Again, it's like, in a simple term, a chainsaw will cut a tree down a hell of a lot faster than a manual saw. And looking at you sit there and you say, well, I got this chainsaw and it's full of gas and I know how to use it. Now, what do I want? Do I want to, do it like the old fashioned way? Well, a lot of people still do. It's a choice. But the ones that exercise their muscles, they get the filet mignon.
They
The
get
ones
they
that
get some
use
reward.
the ones
That's
that
the
use the chainsaw, they get the same result. They get fed too, and they do it a hell of a lot easier, but they don't get the joy, if you will, of the full experience of cutting down a tree or
well,
cutting up a tree.
it's really interesting though. It's not a clear, I mean, there's some things I think that's like for me, clear cut about it. But then there's the other side. All right. So the chainsaw, or we could use like calculators. You
Yeah,
remember when you were little, you had to
sure.
learn mathematics, you had your arithmetic tables, and you
Yeah.
had to
We
like
had,
figure it
we had
all.
a pencil and paper. That was it.
Exactly. When I first started my first business, I had a ledger, a pen, a pencil. You want to use pencil on your ledger because you make mistakes, you have to erase them. I had a
Hmm.
pencil ledger to run a business, you know? So there's some things that have made it easier, like a calculator. How nice a calculator, but kids now do not know how to do arithmetic and math on their own because they just press the calculator. So is that something like, so there's some things that, okay, maybe you can use this new connection into the quantum field, this technological connection to the quantum field to your advantage. But you have to be very conscious about how what it's doing, and make conscious choices of how you're using it, because I'm telling you the downside of it is even more magnified than the downside we're experiencing with all of our other tools and all the other media and manipulation going on. That quantum field can be manipulated as it's neutral. So if you're not discerning and you're not intending and you're not coming in as a conscious being using it, man, you can be led, like, can you imagine like how many people are going to be led down really potent rabbit holes with it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's part of the, again, here we go with that growth word again, but that's knowing the difference between and being discerning. The more you can still use those tools, use them, but use them to your advantage, not as a subject to whatever is programmed into them, as if that's the only truth. Well, that's giving your power away to others or something else than you. That's the whole
Exactly.
secret. And you said it very early. In the end, that is the spiritual journey. And you started it off. I looked it up while you were talking. Her name is, and I'll spell it out so people, if they're interested, her videos are not long, 10 minutes. Her
Mhm.
name is Dana, Dana Kippel, Kippel, and she has a Facebook page, a YouTube page. So you can
Mhm.
type her name in, it'll go there and see if you like what she's saying. But yeah, she calls it, what the hell did you just say?
Plasma field. She
Yeah,
calls it
she
the
calls it
plasma
the
field.
plasma field
Mhm.
to describe the intelligence that is outside of this 3D Earth reality. That's effectively what she's doing. And yes, through the ages,
Yeah.
all of the ancient traditions have talked about versions of that with different descriptive words.
Right.
Oversoul, higher self, God, Allah, whatever. But they are talking about the fact that there is more to this reality than just this 3D adventure that we find ourselves within. But finding ourselves within this, we get to do it our way, which no other apparent creature has been able to do it like we're doing it. And there's all kinds of descriptions about that, how that all happened. Jesus, the whole Gnostic tradition goes into that. John
Mhm.
Lamb Lash is a good one for that one. People, and I know some
That's a
people
wild ride. That's his
have
stuff.
read his books and understand what I'm talking about when I talk about that. Good
Very
Lord.
Gnostic traditional stuff. Yeah. But
And
Maurice,
that's 2,000 years old plus.
it is, it's like, but well, quite frankly, we don't know the kind of technologies that our ancestors used because that history's gone. So we had, I think, far more advanced technology, maybe not in the hard technology, but it's using natural technologies.
Could
We could
be,
be using the elements around us and using the element of being a human. Because I'm telling you what, within us, we can, like the Master Jesus said, these miracles I do, you can do more. Well, what
yep,
machine's going to come in and raise the dead? What machine is going to come in and heal this or that? No, this is direct connection stuff. This is elevating your vibration to a level where you're deeper and more connected to the realm of the truth of who we are, of what's
correct.
available to. It's available to us.
It
We
is. I maintain that to be the case.
Yeah, we
We,
don't need technology and AI. I don't think AI is this thing up here, the field. I think it's the connection into the field, that it's not in and of itself something. It's just we're using hard technology now to tap into that field and try to control that field and control people's access to the field, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well,
It's,
some people are, yes. There's no two ways about it. Yes,
oh
they're
yeah,
using
oh
it
yeah,
as, but it's still people that are using it, that are making individual determinations of what they want to do. There are the controlling types in this society, and then there are other types that recognize that, yeah, they have temporary power, but they got to depend it all of the time, and that's not a free way of living at all. And some
yeah.
of us decide that I'd rather live in freedom. And what does that mean? What does freedom actually mean? And then you start down a different road, as opposed to, okay, this is it, and we got to control it, or I have to control everything around me. And then you find out that you're fighting battles all of the time. Well, lots of our early stories as we grew up were about the knights in armor fighting the dragons and saving the maidens and all of that kind of thing. Well, that is a way of doing life,
Yeah.
that a lot of people choose, and they
Well,
never
it is.
get out
It's
of
the
it.
world of dichotomy, though, Maurice. But the world of dichotomy of good and evil, right? That's
Correct.
our whole. That's the narrative of all stories, of all books, of movies. You got
Yep,
good and evil. It's that fight. That's
it
a
is.
programmed fight, folks. That's not
I
is
quite
that
agree. It is a
is that
program fight.
inherent in reality? Now, there's opposites. There's true opposites, like night and day, and one's not fighting the other. One has their place, feminine and masculine. One's not better or worse. They're beautiful blended opposites. So there's beautiful harmonized opposites. But we're talking about this battle thing. And that, this fear that something is going to has power over me. But that's a fear program.
It
That
is.
is just a fear program because we've been lost and we've been indoctrinated away from learning who we really are. Who we really are is we have the technology to tap into the field ourselves, and it's potent shit. I mean, nothing, no machine, no technology can replicate the human's ability of power.
Correct. That is correct. And once, and believe, well, I used to say years ago, the stories tell us, whenever the enlightened being, the God realized being is another way they used to phrase it. Jesus, Buddha, and others as well through traditions I don't even know to quote their names. But the point is, one every 500 years or so. Nowadays, with everything speeding up as it is, including the exterior world and the computers and the AI, operating, visibly in the world for people to take advantage of and use, and the mechanical things that we ran our way through. Now we're in the digital age. That didn't exist. Shit, 50 years ago, it didn't exist. It was all analog. Uh, Shoot.
Well, let me say while you gather your thoughts, because it's interesting what you're saying about technology and the whole industrial revolution, and
Mm-hmm.
has technology and industrial revolution, I'm kind of putting those together, has it really made life better? Because you look at the industrial revolution, so what did it did? It just made people more slave to things. Like all of a sudden we have the 9 to 5 jobs, and we have to work to pay our taxes, to buy more stuff, it's completely another thing of enslavement. Yet the washing machine freed up women from having to go down to the stream. I don't want to go to the stream with the washboard and do that. I'd rather put it in
Yeah, it's
a
easier. It's convenient.
but that's the insipid thing, right? That's the crux of the problem right there, is that what these things to make life easier, like a calculator, the chainsaw, the washing machine, a
Yeah,
blender. How nice is it to make a smoothie or have a coffee pot? Very
yeah.
nice things, but it's just how they're being used, and that the money we have to pay for it, and that money is being taxed and double taxed, triple taxed, quadruple taxed, and how we have to make it is that we're slaves to someone else's business. I mean, the whole thing is unfortunately like the creative spirit of humans coming up with things to save time and energy that are good stuff. The foundation of it is based on like fundamental money system and religion and corporate stuff. It's just based on a foundation that's manipulating our creative potentialities.
Correct. It's deadening it.
Yeah.
It's taking away that exactly the technology that we utilize for convenience sake. There's a trap in that because it takes away the quality sake of it. Literally, as you were talking, my wife Judy's been gone for 15 years now, but she used to make bread in the house. She had a bread maker. She didn't do it in the oven like her mother probably did, but she had a bread
And
maker,
kneading it.
kneading it, and I'm telling you, it's a whole lot quicker and easier to go down to the corner store and buy a loaf of bread that some machine or somebody made somewhere. But man, the difference between that and what she made was just phenomenal. And the same thing with all kinds of things. It's ultimately it's a choice, and that I think is the real answer to all of it. It's how do you want to experience your life as a quality of life matter? And we talk about between us here in this at least saying that, like you just said very early on, it's a spiritual game, really.
Mm-hmm.
It really and truly is. We're manifesting it in the physical world, but it's a spiritual game in the end. And
Yes.
when you look at it that way, you look at things differently. What's the one-liner? Change your mind, change your life. You change your attitude in that regard on that subject alone, and you change your life. And how it
And
manifests for you is unique and individual. And I can't tell you
it
how
is.
it's on a show, and you
And
can't. We can talk about our life experiences as examples, but that's
yes.
as far as we can go. And we also realize it's not our responsibility, nor is it our place to tell people how to live their lives. We can suggest ways through things that we know about. That's the best we can do. And then we also recognize the responsible thing is to let them make their own minds up.
I was just going to say the hallmark of a true master is one that knows when the student is actually ready to learn the lesson, and
Very
they will
true.
not give that lesson before that. So what I'm saying is that when we master something within our own lives because we applied it, we got wisdom from it, so we know this thing, and then we see somebody else, case in point, parents with children or your spouse, but like children in particular. Oh my God, through life, I have like learned this. So I'm going to save little Johnny from this and I'm going to like tell him, well, he'll do just the exact opposite because he's got to learn it. Or if people aren't ready to hear it, it's you harping at him and you push them away from actually because they react to us. We potentially push them away farther from having the experience of actually learning because you just interfered with their sovereign, their sovereignty.
Yeah,
So it's really important that allowing everybody to be where they are with this, allowing everybody to be learning their lessons and to wake up, at the right time and to learn their lessons. And that it's like some people are going to fall into traps. They're going to fall in rabbit holes. There's the new AI trap. They're going to fall completely into that and completely believe that things, well, okay, I can just put my word out there and my ideas and stuff, and who can hear it and wants to hear it and resonates with it will resonate with it.
that's
It's
correct too.
yeah. Anyway, sorry, we're kind of like zooping all around with this,
Yeah,
but
we are. That's what we always do
that's
anyway.
what we always do. We always do that. But yeah, it's just there's like a time and a place for everybody to come to their own realizations on things. And right now, I think what I'm sharing with this whole AI interface with the quantum field is that we have like the stakes just increased. It's just we're playing at a more potent range now than we ever played with before. And look at how many people got lost in the old paradigm and are just walking around following it. I mean, the majority. So this new one is another rabbit hole that people are just going to go over to. And that's not your problem. That's not my problem. Mine is me. And what I'm saying, I want to, my creativity, my connection to tap into the field, we call it the plasma field, the quantum field, the divine creative field, God source, whatever that is. But it's like that creative intelligence that's available. Man, I want that for me, based on me, not through somebody else. I want to learn the skills of how to tap into that, because there's so much more available there than what's available by having like an AI technology do it for me.
Correct.
Um, the old cameras, when you think about the old cameras where you had to like your f-stops and your
Oh
focus
yeah.
and setting all this stuff, and it was a beautiful craft.
I loved
That's
it. I miss that. I really do. I SLR, single lens reflective lens, single SLRs is what they called them. I love that. And I can't use it anymore because there's no way. I don't have a develop. I used to know how to develop stuff because I worked in a photo lab for a while growing up. That's cool too, but that's old fashioned, old technology. But man,
yeah.
we could it it was doing it with our hands as opposed to letting a machine do it. And
Right.
it's
Instead
a
of taking
different
this and going,
experience.
all
Yeah,
right,
sure. It's
you had
immediate.
to learn skills.
Yeah, yeah,
There was a craft to it. Now you can still learn a craft with a phone. Now my father was very artistic, and he taught me as a little girl about, taking a photograph, and he taught me how to look at all the corners of the picture, how to construct
yeah.
a dynamic composition. He taught me all these things as a little girl. And so conversely, I was always known as the artist growing up because he gave me skill sets and opened my consciousness up of how to see things differently. So when I take a picture of my phone, like it was so funny, a while back, me and a bunch of my girlfriends here, my incredible crone friends, were together and we had a party and we are taking pictures of each other. And I was showing my pictures and other people have pictures. They're like, Elisa, your camera takes such good photos. I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah,
It's
on that
not
one, I
the
can tell you,
camera,
the same thing happened to me growing up. My
it's
first
me.
job out of high school, my dad got it for me because he knew people at Greenfield Village in Dearborn, Michigan. That's the Henry Ford Museum, which is a really fabulous place. If anybody's been there or are in that vicinity, it really is wonderful. But I worked in the photo lab, and the guy that was running it had been a World War II photographer in Germany during World War II. So he battlefield experience, there were two other guys that worked in there that were also professional photographers, and they were taking 8x10 photographs and 4x5s, and I was the guy that was in the dark room developing them. They taught me how to do that, and then and once you have a negative, then you got to make a picture out of it, a photograph.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to dry it. And anyway, and then it was mostly black and white, and we did some sepia. We didn't work in color. It was great, but they in the process they shared composition and not we didn't take photographs. It was still photography. And I still remember the shit they taught me. Of course, I don't do it anymore, but I still have my camera and I use that. And the little tricks about photo, just like you described. I had people that knew what the hell they were talking about describe what makes up a photo and how you do stuff like that. And there's a big difference. You see videos on Twitter, for instance, in particular, you see them on YouTube and Facebook as well. And you can tell if the person actually knows what they're doing with their camera because you can tell immediately. A decent photo will show the story that you're trying to show. Other people, they're up and down and over and back and forth and shit like that. That's just that's a
I'd love to
level of
teach a
experience.
class I'd love to teach a class on would-be influencers, doing a video, because I see these and oh my God, I see people doing them and they're sitting in their bedroom and they've got the video on because obviously they didn't have another place in the house they want to do it. But their beds in the background. Sometimes it's made, sometimes it's not made. And they may have a piece of clothing there, and yet they're wanting to be very seriously saying a message. And I'm like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
it's like so funny. So when you say that, Maurice, it's like the basic fundamentals of like composition and lighting and all of these basic things that come in to make a beautiful photograph still hold true when you have technology. So my girlfriends say, Elisa, your camera takes a great picture. I said, hold on a minute. It's me taking the picture. I just compose a badass picture. I don't just take a shot of someone sitting there. I compose it. And it turns
So
out to
do
be a
I.
beautiful shot, you know? And so I'm using technology, but I had skills that went into it. You know, so even all the maybe what we're trying to say here is when we have all this new technology and stuff available, there's still what's the fundamental skill? And I think with AI, the fundamentals to know it's not like just composition, lighting, and stuff like that, but it's consciousness. You know, is what are you going? What is your basic you know to be true? And you know your discernment, your intuition, your creativity, all these still have all of that if you want to play in that realm and use it. Don't just let go and take the picture and do the thing. You know, keep your what you know to be true about reality. Keep your sovereignty. Don't let anything just tell you that it's this, it's that, it's, you know, this is how to think and blindly go and do it. You know, don't do that with AI. It's way too potent and there's just a lot of potential downsides to it.
Okay, I'll speak from personal experience, and I know
Yes,
that you
please.
that you'll resonate with this, and so will most everybody else listening. I did it the accept everything point of view when I was growing up because I didn't know any better, and then I found out, wait a minute, I have a choice, and I can choose not to say no, and and I went through a defiant mood along the way. Hell, my dad said I was the most defiant kid he ever met. But I didn't think I was. I was anyway.
He was just being you.
Yeah, but I've experienced it both ways, and I can tell you the what you're talking about primarily, and I'm agreeing with for sure, is at the quality of life. How do you want to live your life? And I've done it both ways. I've made my choice. I like it this way better. It works better. It tastes better.
Yes. You like you like the reflection of the consequences, the you know what comes back to you with it. You like it better.
Exactly.
And
Exactly
that
true.
that's the world is the reflection back to up of the state of consciousness. You don't like
Hmm.
something in your world, where's your state of consciousness, which is a vibration,
It
right?
is.
So that's like
It
raise your
literally it
vibration.
is. Yeah.
You know, the world's not, and there's a lot coming out now, which I really love it. It's talking about like the field responds to consciousness, it responds to vibration, not to your thoughts and your intentions of when we keep it focused down there, because those actually are a reflection higher up. So,
That's it.
you
That
know,
is true. That's a good point to be made too.
yeah,
It literally that is a very good point to be made. I doubt I would have made it because I wouldn't have thought about it in that term. But you're right. That actually is true. And however you just said that was well said.
thank you. Thank you, my friend. You know, it's just, and I heard this just recently from somebody's work of that said that consciousness moves energy. And whether they coined it or not, I don't care, but it's absolutely spot on. Consciousness is what moves energy. You want to make change in your life, you want change in the physical world, you know, which is really the dream world. You want to alter the dream world around you, then it's a state of consciousness, because consciousness is what moves energy into form. You know, if
That's
you don't like
true.
the
That is
form it's
true.
taken up, then go back to your state of consciousness, make your adjustments there, then you watch to see how other things form up in your world.
Great observation.
Bam, I know. And I'm just, that's like the big one that I'm really working with right now is,
Okay, so how do you
yeah,
do that? What's the procedure? What course teaches how to do that?
I know. It's like it's the course of life, right? This
It
is the course
is.
of life. As you start to wake up, you realize, you know, that process is about bringing you more and more into the slot of remembering who you really are, remembering
Isn't
how this
that the truth?
works. And that's
Isn't
how
that
this
the
works.
truth?
Yeah.
Knowing who you are, finally fucking knowing who you are. Now
Yep.
it's even more than remember. Maybe well, yeah, I guess you can say remembering. People do all of the time, and it does hold water. But it's also waking up to finding out who the hell you really are as opposed to who you thought you were in the mental field that was imbued with all of these distractions and that's going on. And to be able to plow through all of that and reach a point where you can say, I have a choice. I'm independent of all of that. I'm responsible for how I experience all of this, not that. I'm not a victim anymore. I'm in control of who I am and what I experience and how I experience it.
Exactly.
That is a real. I call that a realization more than a knowing. It's a realization.
I think it's the realization, capital T, the realization. So like remembering, let's just look at that word. It's remembering. It's like the member, bringing back together the whole. So remembering is just waking back up. Another way of saying waking back up to the design, the divine design of who we are as a human, how we're connected to. It's not even like a connected to the immortal. This is the immortal surrounds us, and we're inside the immortal. We're enclosed in the immortal. We're not separate from it. And I think that's the gap we're bridging from 3D to 4D to 5D consciousness. Is getting rid of the time gap, is just like I am there. I'm it. I'm it because I am a reflection of the immortal. Now, how do I open more of myself up, so that I'm permeable to the immortal and I allow the immortal in?
That's the whole secret there too. You allow it to permeate your reality, your physicalness, and you operate with the understanding that that is what is going on, and then you start trusting it, and you trust it more. The more you trust it, the more it opens up, and the more what's the bottom line in human terms? You start walking around in peace. You do. No matter what happens around you, it does not disturb your peace, and you find that you're more and more appropriate to the situation in the moment you find yourself within, at the time you find yourself there.
Wait, say that again.
I don't know if I can.
You're the more
you open up to that, the more you find that you're appropriate to the situation. You find yourself in the moment when you're there, which is not quite exactly the same way I said it, but close.
Close. Yeah, exactly. That it's all perfect and all is well. It's fine, and it's a reflection. This outer world of yours is really what you're seeing right now is based on the past, right? It's based on past consciousness. You can make a shift in consciousness, but it's going to take a little bit sometimes for this to change in front of you, because it's moving down. Now, I think we're moving into more rarefied terrain where changes are happening like that. And from what I remember and what I've been told in the spiritual ranges, it happens instantly. We're here down out of the great now and into time space. So consciousness happens, and then things work out like this. So we have a chance to say, okay, I'm thinking this thought, and then it's starting to slowly play out. So I got time to change my consciousness. So just to remember that where you are right now is a perfect reflection of where you were in your consciousness. So you want to change your now, change your consciousness, and then give it the space to reform, because it will
open up to it. It's there to be had, and all you have to do, and it starts with intention. At the human level, it starts with intention. If it's really and truly there, then I want to know what it is. That's the beginning step, if you will. And just by actually genuinely wanting that with the desire, you have the thought. You have the feeling. Then the thought occurs. You put it into words, so you can understand.
It's the desire for something. I'm desiring to know who I am. I'm desiring to know why I'm here. I'm desiring to know what my purpose is. I mean, these are fundamental, core, heart longing desires, feelings.
Correct.
That we put into, we think, and then we put into these words. And
then we go into initially here we go with the trajectory of how it all works. So you say, well, I don't know what that is, so I'll look around to see if anybody else knows, and then you go down the long road of reading the so-called masters, as your life, depending on your desire to do so, you start reading what these wise people have said through the ages, And that starts you. That's the next step in the trajectory, at least in the Western world. And then you come to a point and say, well, wait a minute. I've learned all of these things that other wise people have said, but I have a voice too. And then you start speaking with your own voice, and then you start speaking with. I will go so far as to say you start talking with an authority that is genuine, and it's not
Yes.
follow me. It's wake up to your own self. Is what it is.
Wake up to the master within you, or the
Yes.
master state
Because
without.
that potential is within all of us. I do maintain that to be the case, and yes, I'm aware of NPCs and all of that kind of thing. But as far as the human beings that we're talking about, that potential is within all of them, and that's a beautiful thing. And going back to my one every 500 years, it's no longer that. There's probably millions and millions of people that are walking the same generalized journey that we're talking about on this earth right now. That's a big deal. That's significant.
That's the exciting time that we're in right now, is humanity's waking up to mastery, right?
Exactly.
It's waking up to the truth of who humanity's designed to be, and our connection to the higher ranges, our connection to the invisible.
Yeah, we're not the only ones that know this or are talking about this by a long shot.
No, this is what's going on now. While we look at things going polarized over into all this other stuff, this AI, this technology, this power, all this stuff there's the other part that's the good news, is that what we had to before tap into through another being a master. We look for the guru, we look for the guide, we look for all the things outside of ourselves, AI technology outside of me. Now's the time to look within. Now's the time to wake up to that master, who you really are, and that you're fine. You're just perfect who you are. Is just like rest in the perfection of that, and shift your consciousness that I don't need to be healed. I don't need to be saved. I don't need any of this stuff. I am wholly enough who I am when I'm connected and I'm allowing the immortal
to manifest through you as you.
Yeah, and it's available to me every second, every second.
It is. The more you realize that, the more you know it with a capital K, and the more you actually become it in practice and in fact.
Yeah.
And it's not okay. I've graduated. Now what's next? It's you realize there's no need for a next, because every moment comes anyway. It does.
Yeah.
For some weird reason, we do live in a linear experience here. We're not just resting, knowing everything. We change happens around us, and then we respond to it, and how we respond is that quality of life kind of thing, and that's us being us in this reality.
Yeah, and it's exciting. It's really exciting. I don't feel like, to me, it was that I'm here outside of my will. I willed this into, my higher self willed me into creation at this time, in this place, and on this planet. And it's an incredible journey, because it's a journey through time where we have to do our action plays out. There's so much to learn through the slowness of time, as opposed to in the now, and these little human being creations that we're inhabiting, we're like raising like this potential of this design, what's available to the human entity. And it's exciting. I mean, we're right at the cusp of a new potential for humanity. Yeah, so some of humanity's going down the big rabbit hole, maybe most of it, but man, there's, like you're saying, there's so many that aren't. They're like, wait a minute, I've been at this for a while now, and I learned these lessons, and I've woken up to, a certain level of understanding that, it's me, it's in me.
You remember, I'm sure you ran into her along the way. She's not here anymore. Dolores Cannon. She used to talk about it. And of course, the way she talked about it was, a kind of a physical separation. Two worlds and all of that thing. Whether she's right or wrong about that, I don't know, but I certainly am aware of how she explained it. But what you just said reminded me of that. In terms of humanity itself, choices are being made. People are either coming to this kind of an insight and understanding about themselves and what's really going on, or they're not. So there is a separation going on in this physical world as we're walking around in it and we're watching it. From my perspective, I understand it that way, and I'm going with the flow of it. I'm allowing people who choose otherwise to choose otherwise. And
Yeah.
I just deal with them at a surface level as me. That doesn't change the way how I deal with people. I treat them all as if they're worthy of my respect and kindness. And I do. And if they show otherwise, then I don't play with them very much longer,
Yeah.
or I play with them at a very, very shallow surface level because that's where they're coming from.
Right.
Quality as I judge that from my own self, I hang around with and I talk with and I share with.
And I think that's wisdom right there, Maurice. We were talking about in a video a while back about, I use the analogy of like you're your own solar system. Like I'm my own sun, and I've
Yeah,
got people are the planets revolving around me, and I just have to find out what's the right orbit for them. Do I want to have something up close and in my personal, in my field real tightly, or do I want people like out there? And I don't love them any less, or, it's just a different relationship. And some
correct.
people you see, they prove out like, okay, I don't, yeah, it's not for me to judge, condemn, like say, not love. It's just that you go out there because you're at a certain place that it's not compatible close in. And not a big deal. Some people just leave my solar system,
Well, you don't
so
marry every guy you meet. You have,
no.
and vice versa. Same thing with me.
Right. And that's bringing in another sun right by you, two suns. Um, but yeah, but so that's just kind of, it's just the waking up to the conscious choices we have. Nothing's thrust upon us, that we are, as we wake up, we understand that, we master our world. Consciousness moves energy, it's a reflection. Your world's a reflection of your state of heart, you
Correct.
know.
That is
And
and you're actually, and I love it that you do it. You're going deeper than I am when you say that kind of thing. And I know that and I recognize it, and I want to make sure that you understand that I see what you're doing. And I
thank
appreciate it
you.
too. I do.
Thank you. I
Mhm.
just, it's, I really think that it's all like when if people have ears to hear, they're available to hear. Sometimes we need to hear things from all kinds of different angles and perspectives. And it's because we hear all these different things that one day somebody just says something and it's like, boop, it's like the final, what do you go, BB and the thing that the whole thing tips the pot and everything comes spilling out and you get it. Yeah, that's what it is. So we all have all these perspectives, and it's so important, I think, is to take a lot of things in, but take them in discerning, just okay, interesting, 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 interesting. And then when it's the time for you to hear, it's the time for you to hear, um, and that's why it's so important for us to really be genuine with the
Yep.
people we meet, just be genuine and be that light that shines, because we add a little more light into their world. And at some point, maybe they just, are on autopilot and they just light up and you had a little
Well,
piece in
we
it
don't know
somehow.
that, so we go with the understanding or the intuition or the maybe deep knowledge or something, um, that is a possibility, and it's worth being that light.
Hmm.
That's something that is worthy to engage in, and we judge
Yeah.
it that way. Therefore, we do it that way,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
been my life experience that is the way, or it is part of the way. Let's put it that way. It's part of the way.
I think we make
That's
this life too complicated, right, Maurice? We make our own hardships. We make it more complicated. We weigh like, and here's the woman saying that the last month or so, I mean, I've been carrying around this massive weight of stress. And I know that as much as I know of stuff, I still chose to carry all this stress and stuff. And I was walking around, just like
Uh,
weighed down. And finally, it's like, okay, I'm weighed down enough. Why am I doing this? And but I just it was an experience. It was an
yeah.
experience of being an experience of light, and then allowing myself to be overly responsible for things or overly concerned, not trusting. I tried that mantle back on, and man, was I so miserable. Oh my God, it was like so. And then it's like, oh God, I can take that off. Now it's like, oh, I'm even lighter than I was before. But not to judge me because I did that for a period of
No, it's
time.
part of your learning. It's part of your life journey, if you will.
I
Uh,
chose that.
we didn't
You know,
come in here knowing everything. We came in here to learn how to get through all of this stuff. And the only way you learn is by doing
experiencing it.
and
Exactly. Doing it and
experiencing. Yeah.
experiencing it. Yeah.
And you can read about other people's life journeys and stories and everything, and we do that. But in the end, it's our own journey is the one that's most important to us individually. And by the way, you were mentioning I have thoughts as you talk. Uh, uh, if anybody's seen the series The Mandalorian, I don't know if I don't even know if you have, but it's a good one. It's based
Right.
on the Star Trek
Did I
scenario.
see that? What is
The
it?
Mandalorian. It's cool. But the wise Mandalorian woman, she keeps saying, "It is the way. It is the way. It's the way of the Mandalorian."
I
Well,
think I've seen that, but I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I
it's
don't think it.
it's kind of Star Trekky, and I liked it anyway.
Oh,
But
I like Star Trek stuff. I love sci-fi. Totally love sci-fi.
not
Yeah.
Star Trek. It was the other one. Anyway, it was one. It was that big movie series. Jesus, Lordy.
Let me look at. Hold on. My
One
magic
with
wand here.
Chewbacca and R2D2 32 and all of that.
That's Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars. It's part of
Star
the
Wars,
Star
not Star
Wars
Trek. Star
world.
Wars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a series. I think it went for 2 seasons. It's available on even on streaming for free if you know how to do that. I
Well,
do.
if you guys haven't watched a while back, Maurice recommended his Dark Matters,
Oh, that's a good one.
MAERS. Oh my gosh, binge watch those 3 series. I loved it from the get-go, but it is so potent with truth bombs.
Isn't it though?
That thing is like loaded with truth bombs, and it's done so well, so clever. Just, oh my God, I just thought that was a fabulous, fabulous
That means you saw season 3, which I
Oh,
wanted
I
you.
saw the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. See, you know what I was talking about 3, because it was good.
I did, but I loved the whole thing. I
Oh, I
loved
did
the bill,
too.
everything. Even though season 3 was the culmination, and they did it so beautiful. And the ending,
Yeah, I agree.
oh
I
my God,
agree.
it wasn't like the Hollywood, sweet, everybody goes off. But it's a powerful ending. It's like life happens like that.
Poignant,
That's
I think, is a good word to describe.
yeah. Oh my God, it was just a really, yeah. I would give it a little time, but then I'd watch it all over again because I thought it was that great.
Yeah, I might
So
rewatch it myself. I haven't done it yet, but yeah.
so
Yeah,
check out his Dark Matters. I think I just got it on regular TV on
did you
I
really?
think
Huh,
yeah, we got Direct TV and it was on Direct TV, nothing to
cool.
pay for anything.
Good.
It was just one of the choices there. So yeah, yeah. Super, super good. Well, check out The Mandalorian for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, my friend. Should we wrap it up? We've been going for a
Yeah,
little
we've been
while.
going a while. I don't even know how long, but we've been going a while.
I know I don't even know when we started, but anyways, it's been a delight again, and we'll stay on and chat a little bit once we uh,
Okay.
wrap it up with all of our followers, our massive hordes of followers. Even if it's just one person listening, we love you, we
Yeah.
believe in you, and we're rooting for
We're
you. We
rooting
got
for you too.
Yes, we got this. We all got this. We're gonna make it through. It's gonna be good. It is good, and
It
it's
is
gonna be
good.
reflected in goodness in our lives. And yeah, I do believe that we can create our own heaven on earth as earth is right now. That's available to us right now, and it'll look different for everybody. And it doesn't mean that any trials and tribulations and things are gone. It's how we handle all those things. and then how our world can form up to reflect the beautiful consciousness, the burgeoning consciousness that we are. And yeah, so.
Yeah, beauty is there to be seen and experienced. All you have to do is look for it and experience it. Now, how you do that in this sea
Yeah.
of muck and mire,
that's your journey, my friend. That's your journey. We're sharing our journey, and if it's of any help, yay. And if you want to comment and share, we love comments. We read every single one of them and we respond to them. And, because we're all in this together in our own very special, unique ways. So anyways, as always, everybody, thank you very much. And peace from within, because that's where it starts. Bye-bye.